I would encourage you to open up a Word document, or you could do it on a piece of paper. And I would like for you to look at the following things. And you'll have to do this in retrospect. And you're going to be collecting data. So you've had a meltdown or shutdown, and now you're going to start collecting data each episode. And so what was the antecedent? In other words, what was said or done prior to the meltdown or shutdown? Then the second super important part is what was some of my self-talk during the meltdown? And then thirdly, the reframing business, which is what can I say or do differently the next time so that I'm not triggered. What was the antecedent? It was people at the dinner table that were saying some things that I downloaded as being critical. What was some of your self-talk as you were downloading these statements that way? I don't live up to your expectations, right? So that would go on the list. Antecedent, we found the antecedent. We found one, I'm sure that wasn't the only thought you had, but we have found one piece of self-talk during that incident. Now we get to the last piece. I said, let's find some reframes. Reframes are different downloads. First download, one of your downloads was, I don't live up to expectations. I'm sure there's others you'll put on your list. That's how you're processing. Using the term download is a little weird to you. Just think in terms of, this is how I'm processing it. This is how I'm trying to make sense of it. That led to the shutdown. So we want now to come up with some reframes, which would be, how can I process this in a way that's a little more in alignment with reality? Your reframe has to be believable. In other words, you're replacing negative self-talk with realistic self-talk. So we're not going from negative self-talk to positively spinning things and sugarcoating and bullshitting myself. No, we're going from negative self-talk to something that's a little more in alignment with reality. That is the reframe. And that is now getting good at knowing my triggers and how to prevent them. What would be a replacement thought that goes from, I don't live up to expectations? What would be a replacement thought that's not so negative, but is still believable according to you? A reframe might be, to use a different term other than critical. I'm just going to throw out some examples here. Instead of she's being critical, is that the relationship is super important to her and she's passionate about fixing some things. That's not bullshit. But sometimes we'll use he, guy with ASD, downloads this as criticism. She's being punitive, parental. She's putting me down. She's being judgmental, blah, blah, blah. And what could be really going on is that she's perhaps a little too passionate about fixing things. That's probably a little closer to the bullseye than she's just being critical. I don't want to belabor the point. I just want to model for you a formal assessment that I'd like for you to try. Antecedent, what was my self-talk during the incident in question? What can be some replacement self-talk that is me not bullshitting myself, but that's a little closer to the reality of things? And if your replacement thought is unbelievable, it's not a good replacement thought. Don't use it. So now what we've accomplished is I know what the trigger is, and then when it shows up, I've got a replacement thought already handy to prevent the shutdown.